Hey, hey, hey. Bill Benny, Jeff Turner,
Howdy.
coming to you once again from lovely Manitou Springs, Colorado,
Beautiful Manitou Springs.
with another episode of High Strangeness.
Strangeness.
Tonight, we're going to be taking a look once again at the foreboding
Vacant.
and alluring
Vacant.
urban
points.
legend, which
The
turns
legend.
out to be
That's not
not
legend.
just a legend. Vacant points.
Love it. Love it. I'm giving you so much shit. There's
Oh,
so
yes.
much shit. I've
Yes, much more.
lots of
much
work.
more
Lots of
information
work.
to
I've been
cover.
doing my job. I've been doing
Yes,
my
a
job.
rabbit hole
Oh,
of
God.
epic proportions
Oh, there's so much.
that goes on and on.
It's labyrinthine.
It's one of those stories
Endless.
that you just can't walk
No.
away from
No.
until you realize
Hypnotic.
the
The way it works.
the profound
Brain
paradox
worm. It gets a
of
brain
a situation like this, of some place like this existing
Right.
in reality.
Right. It's intriguing.
So,
Turn that down.
Jeff,
Yes.
it looks like you have put together quite the file.
It's like
Oh, yeah.
it's like
Okay.
a novel of human
Well, tell me about it.
proportions. Okay, so there's a chat room I came across when I was
Okay.
looking at this stuff, and people
Wow, that's
go,
fascinating.
people go there
For something that I
for
didn't,
years.
I didn't even think this was real
In
a month ago. But see,
you
people
know,
go
I
thought it was
and
like
they
Slender
talk
Man, like
about
some
it.
kind of
It-
creepy pasta story or something.
Right, exactly. But no, this is the people with experiences at Vacant Points talk about it on this chat focus.
Wow.
And there you go. There it is.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, I see you
Page
highlighted
after
that.
Page after page. I tried to just to get you like the good stuff, you know. I was just trying-
Okay.
And it's all pretty good, really. But, you know, just some of the highlights.
What was the name of what was the name of it that you were talking about?
Vacant Points Chat Focus Group.
The Vacant Points chat focus group. Is that still? It's still open.
Yeah, you can still post it if you want.
All right. So there still is, but it hasn't been updated.
Well, nobody's been putting anything on it. For
So the question is, does Vacant Points still exist?
Oh, that is the question.
Is
You
there
think
still a
that'd be
building?
Pretty easy to figure out. You almost think maybe. I already know.
Well, we're not going there yet. First, we're going to dive a little bit
Keep
further
the
into the
suspense
history.
going.
Now, what
Keep
did we
it
cover?
going. Huh?
What did we cover last time?
The beginning of it all.
We got to the point to where the school had closed,
Right.
and I believe we talked about that it had been renovated
Different groups of
and
kids.
then reopened as an
Still
apartment
going.
building.
It's been opened as an apartment
Right.
building now. Or then.
Now, it sat empty for a long, long time.
Right. 'Cause
Now,
a lot of the stories from before about
come
the kids.
early 2000s, with the advent of the internet, there was so many weird stories
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Once they got started talking
that people
about
had begun talking about it on
yep.
the internet, on a
Oh,
chat
God,
focus group.
yes.
So, you found it.
Yeah, I did.
Wow, that's great, Jeff.
Well, thank you.
That is great.
It's good to be appreciated. Every once in a while.
So,
But it's kind of. I know you wanted to do it like in a timeline or something.
for the here's so after the school was renovated into an apartment building, it had a fairly good run of normality apparently. From 2000 through
People lived there.
2005,
You know, people.
it had no
lived there.
relevant reports of weird activity
that
until
was
the
some-
spring,
Right, and then it started.
when a man named Roger DeSalvo was arrested for the murder of his then girlfriend Alina Murray.
Right.
It was after this, in the summer, that there was a steadily rising storm of strange events involving the remaining residents of the building.
Right. It started with him, and then it goes.
Now, through researching public records, social media, news reports, it is possible to assemble a fairly comprehensible portrait of a spiraling supernatural disaster. High Strangeness has done its best to contact those involved and present a comprehensive version of the events
We haven't found all
before the building's official closing, which was in
I tried.
2002.
It's kind of, I wanted, you know how people are about.
But it had already sat empty for a long time.
Right. That's when most of the stories.
Right.
Tenfold.
That's what the you found this on their focus chat story. There was a man who was on there that was talking about it.
Yeah.
Okay. The homeless shelter.
The homeless shelter.
Reading it.
Yeah, that's a good one.
It sat when it was sitting empty between the period of time that the school had closed and before it had been renovated. It was just a derelict structure.
Right. This is after
Just sitting
the
there,
teenagers had been
accumulating
playing.
dust and negative energy. Apparently,
Yeah.
it had become a sort of a campsite for homeless people in the area.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And
Isn't that? You think about all those people that
this
what kind of stuff are they
gentleman who
came to?
had posted on the chat focus site, who had talked so much about it, knew various stories.
Yeah.
He had talked to the homeless people that had come in and heard their stories.
Yeah, it's a
and
soup
how they
kitchen.
talked about the
He
building
was
while
running
it
a
was
soup
empty.
kitchen, homeless shelter, and there would be people who would come in and tell their stories, and he was always fascinated by it. So he
Right,
he mentioned some of it.
Let me pull that up. We'll get right to it. This is after the closing. Let me pull it up here. Let me find it. What was his name? Russell Bright.
Yeah, that's him. He's got a couple of entries, but just that one.
Okay, so this is the account of Russell Bright.
He's got a couple.
And here, I'm just going to read it. My name is Russell Bright, and when I saw that a Vacant Points chat room existed, I felt both anxious and simultaneously relieved.
Me too.
I've wanted to describe the following events for well over a decade, but there was never a place where I knew if I shared it, it would be understood. I've been haunted by these memories and often questioned the reality of their occurrence, so strange and dreamlike they seem now. I was working at the Langdale homeless shelter in the late 1990s, in the years before the Vacant Points apartments opened. The school had for almost 2 years sat empty, and many thought forgotten. During those years, it had become a popular place for the homeless of the town as a squatting site. The local authorities ignored the building for the most part, and dozens of homeless could be found sleeping in the derelict school building. It was through the conversations of the homeless at the soup kitchen where I worked that I became aware of the building and its new purpose. The school's reputation had not been forgotten, and many of its new inhabitants frequently shared stories of bizarre events and strange sights witnessed within the vine-covered brick walls.
Can you imagine?
Much of what was said were regular ghost stories like phantasms wandering the hallways, the sound of footsteps in the night, and the echoes of voices in the empty classrooms.
Like things aren't
There
bad
was
enough
an
for
often
these
repeated
people.
story of a strange creature that crawled in the shadows of the basement and boiler room.
That's right.
They described it was small, the size of a large toddler, but ape-like in its movements. It was said to be covered in dark, shining fur, and only its large, shining yellow eyes were visible on its flat but animal-like face.
Escaped.
It was said
Chimpanzee.
to crawl on all fours and climb the walls like a spider until it found someone sleeping alone. It would then squat upon the chest of the sleeper and feed off of their energy leaving them exhausted and almost lifeless in the morning. Wow. What is that? An incubus?
I think, isn't incubus
It does.
sexual?
It sounds like that painting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know exactly what you're
Yeah,
talking
that's
about.
the one. Look it up. Find it. What? It's the YouTube station. The guy, he does those amazing videos about the strange art. He'll show a painting. They sell the art.
It's not
and
just
stuff like that.
strange art. He does like all kinds of famous art, but he's particularly interested in dark art.
I'm not going to say
And he
the
does
name.
most of his episodes about it. They're brilliant.
If
It
they
is
just-
brilliant. I
If they
love
just
that
go
one.
looking, they'll find it based on what I just said.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure.
go find it. Go track him down.
But
He'll inspire
if you
you.
can find the video, okay.
You know, you remember there's the one where there's like a
can
squat
find the
little
name of the
troll
artist.
sitting on somebody's, like some woman's
I know
belly.
it sounds just like that.
But this one is like the one you're thinking of is the other one where it's kind of like facing the other
no, don't
direction.
play it.
It's kind of scary looking, really. There's one that has like the horse sticking out from behind the curtain. That sounds crazy when I say it like that.
But to be fair, legitimately, there is a horse looking out from behind the curtain. Don't.
So,
Well, I know we're interrupting this story, and
You are getting
we'll get back to it.
sidetracked.
Don't worry. But I'm telling you, that description, that
It
creature,
it does. It really, really does fit.
sounds exactly.
The guy even mentions that.
It's called.
The homeless
Okay, yeah. There was the one that was called Nightmare
nightmare. That's what it was called.
by Nikolai Abildgaard.
A Bill God, is that you say it?
Is that double check it?
I think that's
That's how they're describing it. That's exactly how it was
what
described.
They said they saw that thing running around in school at night, sitting on people's
Nightmare.
chests.
Just double check and make sure we
Even
got
though
the
I'm
right
pretty
one.
sure succubi
Nikolai.
and incubi do a little bit more than sit on you.
Abraham
But
Abildgaard.
it's the guy. It's not called the Nightmare. That one's called
Yeah.
Nightmare. That's what.
The Nightmare.
No, it's a Nightmare.
That's not the one you were thinking about, though, was it? But it is. It's very similar.
No, that's
There's
the one with the
another
horse. That's the one I was talking about. It's got the horse sticking out from
That's
behind the curtain.
it's kind of like an incubus thing.
It
Yes,
isn't, but
they
the one,
talked about
it's called Nightmare is the one that I'm thinking of.
So you have homeless people who feel that they're being
chased by art.
alone.
That is right. They are being attacked by classical
I guess that could have been the game.
art.
They were all camped out.
Impressionism would be terrifying.
Henry Fuseli. Was that another one? There's
I don't
another
know,
one that's
because I'm looking myself.
less known.
So there is the Nightmare, and then there is.
So what?
That was
what do
a
you think? What do
apparently-
you think? Was it an influence? Did someone?
Right. So it kind of looks like see, we were talking about that, like with the stuff and the way it happens in school.
Stuff falls into the
It gets in your
the
head.
imagination of the public,
And
we're kind of
so
seeing
she
the
sees
building.
something. She sees like a
Tending to have sort of like
never
a habit of projecting people's. Yes, it is
fears. Nightmare
maybe.
by Nikolai
Or is it even
Abraham
fears?
Abildgaard. There you go. That's it.
It's almost.
That's the
more
one you're talking about.
So we
So this
discovered
one
that it
sees it and
prolongs
it's
the
stuck in her.
effects of intoxication, which almost seems like it just locks people into a state of mind.
Right.
Like, those guys drink. Oh yeah, we'll get to that. That one's later though, because we're still
Which one? Oh,
talking about
yeah.
It's trying to keep it at the point where it's still empty before it became the apartment building. Trying to cover all the great spaces of its history.
Because you had it as a school.
Yes,
I'd like to hear more about
it's
when
called
it was a school.
Nightmare by Nikolai.
That's it.
We have
That's what I was
established
thinking
it.
of as
It
soon
is
as I read
Nikolai
that.
Buildgod. Please move
Not
on.
the nightmare, but nightmare.
Nightmare. I know. I was just saying that. Now, please. You are so derailed right now. It is crazy. Come on. Get back to it. Get back in there, Jim.
That thing. Eyes and everything.
Yes, I'm looking at it too. It's on my screen as well.
All right, back to the story.
Yes, that's what that made me think of.
Back to the story.
Every time I heard these stories, yes, I'm going to go back to this. Every time I heard these stories, and there were many. Yes, he was hearing the stories of the people that came in and talked about it, about the experiences. I thought of the old classical paintings of nightmares, succubus and incubi. See, I told you that was what he was already. Yeah, he thought too. I had heard a woman named Marietta saying one time that she would never again sleep in the building, as she had seen a bat the size of a large dog hanging from the ceiling of the gymnasium. Wow, that'd do it for me. Many had mentioned that if one were to become intoxicated at certain times, that the effects of the drug or alcohol would not wear off until one had left a perimeter of 6 blocks from the fence of the school ground. That's the first time we've ever had anyone ever actually state a distance, like give a perimeter of the effect that the school had. 6 blocks. That's 6 blocks. Once again, the drug thing. So these people had noticed this as well, this same effect. This was not a permanent occurrence, though. It only happened at certain times. Indeed, it seemed that the strangeness came and went in tides throughout the year that seemed possibly cyclic but untraceable. Autumn in general was said to be one of the most reliably bizarre times for frightening events. Lance Armstrong. Make a note of that. One man had stated with utter certainty that there was a restroom on the 2nd floor where one could see the shapes of translucent people in the large mirrors over the sinks. A man named Curryhill once held the entire room enwrapped one Christmas with a tale of how that summer he had found himself lost in the school. So I'm imagining this is a Christmas at the soup kitchen and everyone's sitting around listening and this guy's telling the story. The others had laughed and chided him. He was lost in the school was what story. The others had laughed and chided him until he began describing how he found himself roaming from hallway to hallway and classroom to classroom, but was unable to find the stairwell which would lead him down to the ground floor. Impulsively lost. Every time he thought he was making progress, he found himself standing dejected and panicked in the same rooms and halls over and over in a situation which he understood as impossible. He then was overwhelmed by the feeling that something was following him. He could hear shuffling low steps, and what he thought was the sound of monstrous, vapid breathing, always just out of his view around the corner of the next turn. At one point, he had hidden in a restroom and locked himself inside one of the dusty, cobweb-filled stalls. He was utterly convinced that it had entered and was waiting outside the door. Standing on the top of the toilet, he had peered over the door to see if he could see it in the mirror. What he saw was a giant, lumbering shape covered in writhing, snake-like appendages. And Curryhill swore that as he watched it turned and met his gaze in the reflection of the mirror with the pale face of a beautiful young woman gazing out from the horrendous heaving shoulders and swirling serpent-like forms. That's crazy. He immediately thought of the tragic mythological Medusa, which he had read about as a child. He began screaming, and as he watched the being, too, began screaming in a voice feminine, broken, and terrified. Falling backwards, he had crashed against the wall and fallen unconscious. When he awoke on the floor of the stall, the air felt warm and he could hear birds singing nearby. The door was open and he could see light shining in from outside around the cracks in the boarded windows. Warily raising himself up, he had cautiously stepped out and found everything as normal as could be expected. Leaving the restroom, he had found himself facing directly to the stairwell he had known should have been there throughout his entire horrific journey. Others sleeping in the gymnasium greeted him from the trash can bonfires where they warmed themselves. No one knew anything of the events he had described. He was accused of having binged narcotics, which he vehemently denied to the day of the stalling. He had, forever after, been known locally as Medusa's boyfriend.
Right, be like, who's that? He's like,
called him
Medusa's boyfriend.
Because he saw Medusa. Yeah, he is Medusa's boyfriend. Yeah, he's cool. Oh, he's that guy. That's Medusa's boyfriend.
He saw Medusa.
He saw Medusa. Now, how?
Exactly.
Some people claiming that they're being preyed on by a creature.
It's like externalized the schizophrenia.
He sees like Medusa like a thing from his childhood,
right? Probably something that was in his conscious.
Yeah. We will, but I'm trying to stay at least loosely within a timeline here, because the first session we discussed when it was a school,
right?
When you go to the site,
a lot
of what you've printed out,
it was more right after it closed.
There were people from the school,
right,
that later shared their experiences.
Stories about when they went to school there.
In retrospect, on the site, discussing things that had happened to them while they were in school,
and pretty strange. But it was only that time period after the events.
Does it seem like
of the boy's suicide that started as like a chain of events?
Did the story about which one? About the man who died of the drug overdose.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Was that?
No, that's later.
Was that before or after he became an apartment building? Was that as an apartment building?
It's after.
Yeah. Okay.
It is. Here, take that.
There's the pool stories. So,
the pool.
The school, when it was open, had a swim team, and they had a large pool. And there's so many stories here from when the school was still open about
people,
kids seeing things in the pool. I gotta go. There was people who saw snakes, sharks. Like they'd be in the store. Like here, if you go scroll down through there, yeah. So you imagine that you're swimming, and then all of a sudden, you're like doing a race or something. You're swimming laps, and you look up, and all of a sudden, you're not surrounded by people. You're not in the school, and there's a shark.
The Sargasso Sea.
That's insane.
All of a sudden, you're in the Sargasso Sea.
There's a story about
there's seaweed around everywhere, and there's sharks swimming around.
The what did they call it? The mutant mermaid.
Oh yeah, the thing with the manta ray person.
Yeah.
It looked like a manta ray.
It was sort of like a half human, half manta ray
like a human face
thing
underneath it. Now I've heard that
there
somewhere.
was.
That is very familiar to me. That thing about the manta ray. I have heard that somewhere before. It is. I don't know where. It's like some legend or movie.
Yeah, once again. That's from when it opened. as the apartment building.
At the apartment.
I just kind of want to try to keep it all together.
I'll just pick out something. Sitting down. Have you ever been to Missouri?
What's that? That's got the note on it.
That's for that other thing. Have you ever been to Missouri? I have. There's a lot of woods everywhere. I saw deer a lot.
It's like, so he had said that it didn't go away. It never left, but it was cycling. It was like a tide.
The force.
It was running on some kind of schedule.
Right.
Okay.
He said it was like a kind of
Sometimes,
like a cycle.
if you
Lance Armstrong again.
looked when you were underwater,
Right.
he swore that the top of the pool would be covered in algae,
Sargassously.
and the bottom
like a
would look
Bermuda
like
Triangle.
the ocean.
Yes.
Yes.
Everything just
There's the girl, and she even mentioned this was back when she was like 13, and she had a boyfriend, and he had read her The Call of Cthulhu.
Of course, why not? That's romantic.
Yeah, not with the in a place that has sort of like a psychoreactive projector
That's
thing going on
not
there.
a good one to
Read her
get
Call
in
of
a
Cthulhu, and she was
pool
swimming in
and
a pool, and what did she see? She looks down, and there's a bottomless abyss underneath her. It just goes down for what looks like miles, and she sees good old Cthulhu reaching up from the bottom, from the darkness. Oh my
Great
goodness!
Cthulhu. Can you imagine? Honestly, I would like to see him, but I'm a huge
it's
fan.
nightmarish.
I would probably shat myself.
It is. I mean, but in the pool.
Probably. There'd be
So,
brown
but different
cloud
people
all
have,
around me.
had like different
I would see
interactions.
Cthulhu.
Some of these just played out like minute hallucinations that occurred during the day,
Cthulhu is not a minute.
and then
Seeing one of the great old
other
ones,
ones
it's not just a
seemed to have had
trivial
more
event.
interactive experiences
They
where
call it cosmic horror.
they were
for a reason.
attacked, or the stories about the kids. There was another group who was playing role playing games. We talked about the ones that were doing the Ars Magica one, but there was a boy who had seen a werewolf.
Oh yeah. The good werewolf.
Yes, but only it had been a positive.
It was a
thing
helpful
like this,
werewolf.
which makes me wonder about the whole thing about
Protective,
the
helpful
Mr. Hall.
Remember the thing
that the
where the
girl
girl
had
had
talked
the ghost or
Because
whatever it
this
was that
boy
wanted to help
he
her.
once again he'd begin to fall into like sort of like this horrible experience where
indicate it was
he was
still
trapped,
there.
and
Now, if you
he
go
couldn't
to the
find his
school,
way
how do
out,
you get in
and the school
contact
seemed empty all of a sudden
with Mr.
and
Hall?
it was nightmarish, and something was chasing him, and then all of a sudden this massive werewolf thing had stepped out and taken him and guided him back through the building to get out, and that was a positive experience for the werewolf. Had been a
he's
good
a
thing, but
teacher
see,
at Hogwarts.
the game that the boy had been playing was about werewolves, and they were the heroes of the game. Right,
Yeah.
the one about the
werewolf.
environmentally protective werewolves.
Right. That one.
Right.
It's a good game.
And
It is a good one.
so it makes
But
me
they-
wonder
so
what
he
is
saw
the
helpful
difference between those people who are being
Right.
attacked by
How do
monsters
you
or
get
seeing
in
their
con-
horrible
if you're
nightmares
lost in
come
the
to
school,
life,
how do you get hold?
and then some of them that are being helped by a positive entity, why doesn't it help everybody?
Maybe there's too many. Or maybe he has to sleep. Or he has another job. Maybe. No. Maybe he's got to... maybe it takes great amount of energies for him to manifest.
Well, it begins to look like later.
Yeah.
Hold on.
begins to look like.
Exactly. It kind of makes me wonder if it wasn't just giving him hallucinations, but it almost seems like it's recording the information.
Yeah,
Because there's other people who are also
people will see
experiencing
these things later.
It's like
visions
as it pops out of your head, it
of
now
others.
exists.
Like
The
inside
one woman, it
the
started with one
space.
woman seeing the incubus creature,
Right.
but then
Other people.
there's
saw it
more.
too.
Other people are seeing the same thing
Right.
that she saw. Like it
Yes.
sprang from her mind,
And then it is recorded.
but it
and reused.
recorded it and used it.
Yes. That's like as you can see.
Is it? She goes further on down.
Is
You're going
it
to see more of those.
Is it multiple entities? Is it just sort of a force?
That's a great question.
I'd
What
say
would you
it
call
almost just seems like it's
Imprints?
that's its nature. Like it's a
It's a dark
Sort of
energy
like a-
field. Just
once
sort
it
of
gets
does
seen,
this.
It's
It-
like it records it and then we'll use it
Right.
again.
It's just like its reaction to human consciousness. It's like that is its effect. Like that's just its nature. What do you think?
So I mean, because look,
A lot of these are reoccurring. Once we come to, once we get into like some of this, the later stories after it becomes an apartment building, these past visions, events, hallucinations
manifest.
resurge later.
Right.
They come back.
They come
People
back.
will be seeing. There's reports of people living there in the early mid 2000s who were seeing this kind of stuff, just like the
werewolf.
stuff about
There's
the
one about them
pool.
seeing a werewolf. As a matter of fact,
That was very common. People because they kept the pool and they reused it when it became an apartment building.
the pool. Yes, don't go.
And when they did that, people saw these things
saw Cthulhu again
when they were
in the swimming pool. Like, oh my god,
But once again, I would
y'all saw
love.
I know.
I would love to
So
be able
it's
to make a
separate.
connection
Young
to understand.
Cthulhu.
Is it lunar? This cycle that the place is on, when things start to pull back, and then it will seem normal, and everyone can go back
Young
to the
Silver
regular
Places,
lives,
but
but then
done
the
the
tide
job.
comes back, and the events start happening. The force sort of washes over the area,
Right.
and then people begin experiencing the things again. And why? Why is it doing that? What does it do? You know? Is it a Pennywise? Is it feeding off of their fears? But it's not as if it's just causing. It's not just looking for their deepest fears. It's taking the stuff that's sort of floating in their ambient consciousness.
Yes.
It kind of and then sort of extending it, just like it extends mental states, intoxication.
That's what I'm saying. Like it just
It extends it over
way
longer and longer
the
time
tide comes
until you
in,
get away, and then
washes over
So there's
everything.
this suspension of time,
Just
suspension of state,
just like
stasis,
water makes you
cycle.
float. It makes you seem wet.
tidal energy.
Makes you unable to transition in your mental state, and it's
Many negative
manifesting when it's
experiences, but
ever
you
there.
also have a few, and it would seem that there is something inside that is protective. That's what I'm getting from
this being who's trying
based on the story of the Mr. Halls.
who's this
So
there.
moving on, there's a homeless shelter, and eventually it begins to be. There was just with the Kentucky, yes, okay.
Oh yeah,
There was a woman
goblins. Yeah,
who
yeah. I like that.
was when she was homeless. Yeah, she had been one of the homeless people staying in the school, at least sporadically, throughout the colder months. And
What did you get out? That's for me.
okay,
Yeah, it's all right. Go ahead. Okay, you need to turn that off. Let me check it real quick. I'll make sure there's
Dinner last night was delicious.
That's good to know.
It is. She was staying in the place, and she witnessed goblins. Goblins, yes. It's worth mentioning because we've talked about the Kentucky goblins.
Sorry.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, the Kentucky goblins.
Kentucky goblins.
Well, it started when I saw.
There was that movie.
I saw a documentary.
There was that show because you told me about this story, and there was Kentucky coal mines.
Was it
coal
was
mines
that it's famous.
Was that in
Was it
Kentucky?
Hopkinsville?
What? Yeah, Hopkinsville.
Yes, it was.
That is the name of the town where they sold the goblins.
And it was a very somewhat well known legend.
Yeah,
it was supposed to have happened in 1955.
Yes, it was a huge deal there,
and
people still talk about it. And it was like a UFO thing.
Okay,
and it was like
I'm trying to
underground.
concentrate.
Like the UFOs went underground.
We're talking about so.
But these
And
people
officially,
really
Project
claimed
Blue
to
Book
have
had
seen-
been involved at one point and had alleged the entire incident as a hoax.
Yeah.
Now, there's a lot of UFOologists regard it as a significant and well-documented UFO incident.
Oh yeah, like a
But
Roswell.
the people involved weren't specific.
Huh? They weren't specific. What?
They weren't specifically saying that it was aliens. They saw these small green creatures.
They saw a spaceship.
Was there a spaceship?
Yes.
Okay.
They did. It
I
was.
thought that had something to do with a mine.
It was a mine. The ship went
Oh, because it
underground
was said that. It's said that in the
something.
story.
And it's a very complicated story, but
And, right, because there's a whole thing about them.
it sounds crazy
being
when you
in
say
the
it
mines in the
like
area,
that.
the old coal mines. Well, this, once again, this is a famous, semi-famous part of sort of like if a person was from Kentucky, part of that culture,
would know
this
about
woman
it.
saw the goblins.
Yes, so
in
this
school
woman was at
while
school.
she was
And
staying
what
there.
did she see?
Yep.
And
And once
aliens.
again, that's not.
It wasn't aliens. It is sort of nightmarish. It is sort of fearful for something like this to happen. But
Yeah.
it just kind of reaches into your mind and just starts pulling stuff out.
Well,
Maybe it's what is in it
and I
when you
can't-
go
I can't
into that state.
comprehend the purpose.
The purpose, like you said, is a Pennywise feeding on your fears.
Okay.
Ooh, that was my belly.
Yeah,
Eat
I got that. Thank you. I'll check it.
Look at that. What's that?
Critters was based on that.
I didn't know that. Oh, I remember Critters.
Yes.
Critters was fantastic.
Remember Critters?
Oh, God.
Remember
Yes,
that?
it's phenomenal.
Did you see Critters?
Little furry
Over there?
monsters with jacked up huge mouths. Like the Muppets on acid, just
They're still-
chasing everyone
I
around.
think there's still a festival. But so a woman saw the goblins in the school.
Yeah.
Which is just another.
So if we were talking about
Shows
and we
another
went to the
point.
school, would we see critters?
So
I want to see critters.
it
No, I
never
don't.
really stopped.
I think they were
having
scared.
activity.
No, it kept on
And
going. It just kept on going.
Eventually, we move into
Ebb and flow. I don't know who
the
they are.
rebuilding and the renovating of it, and it being turned into the vacant points
Right. Okay. And
apartment building.
then it becomes the apartment building.
And then it just opens up a whole new
Set of stories.
era of experiences.
We
that
are
people had.
spending way too much time
And
together.
Once again, the one now what you were referring to is the case of the overdose. Yeah, that's
The
what he's
man-
talking about. That guy.
One of the residents of the building had died of an overdose.
He sure did.
Yeah, or he had an overdose, let's put it that
His
way.
friends called for
His
help.
friends all called the ambulance, but he's awake and he's fine.
And he's fine.
Except he has no pulse. He has no respiration.
He's dead.
He's in the ambulance and they're driving away,
in
and
the hospital.
obviously he should be dead.
And then
But he seems like he's fine.
crosses that line.
And then
That's 6 blocks.
once they get past a certain point, maybe 6 blocks, maybe half a mile or something away from the building,
Yeah.
he suddenly dies.
He dead.
Bloop. Light goes out.
Light goes out.
That's
How long would he have stayed alive? if they
fascinating,
hadn't
but
left?
terrifying at the same time.
It is. I mean, like,
I mean,
we just be there
it
until
suspended
the
death.
energy.
It created the
left?
stasis.
Could he have been indefinitely
And from
undead?
that stasis.
Indefinitely undead.
Now,
I like that.
but how it sounds so extra. It sounds crazy. It
Yeah,
does.
It sounds crazy. It does.
It sounds
real
crazy.
at all. And yet, there's something about it that kind of smacks of
It does.
reality.
I agree.
You know,
Because
it's
but at
not
the same
something
time,
a lot of people would
something
make
about
up.
that. Compared to the stories from when it was the
think
kids,
so.
the school kids. So when the tide is high, if something happens, and when tide's in, also
Craziness becomes real.
and it's wash and whatever strange energy is
Yeah.
saturating the area like a dark sphere, then whatever state you're in
Is there a movie called that?
puts you is locked, and
Right.
whatever is on your mind
In a stasis.
suddenly becomes
Floating.
real.
And then it just somehow it occurs. And there it is, right in front of you. It could be Medusa or
And then you have to wait it out,
goblin,
or you have to get away.
a incubus, or you might have died.
Okay, there's
No,
one. That's
you
an
are.
interesting one.
What?
Once again, this guy got lost inside the school. Again, the
Uh,
story
another
of it.
one,
It's
lost.
sort of becoming like a maze that you can't get out of.
Right.
You can't find the stairs, and you
Right.
can't find, and you're just going round and round and round.
Yes.
This guy was roaming, and he'd been about 20 minutes. So he didn't even think it was too strange yet.
Right.
And then he saw somebody come walking up out of the hallway.
Yeah.
He walks towards him. They walk towards him. He's gonna ask them for help. And then when the person walks up, he realizes that it's him.
It's him. He's seeing himself.
It's him.
It's him.
But
He's
only he's
doppelganger.
looks rough.
Right.
His beard's grown out.
Yeah. Like he's had his time.
He hasn't shaved for a while. Say that maybe
Couple
you know,
days.
and he stinks. And
He needs to change clothes and take a
the
shower.
guy grabs him. He grabs himself and starts crying. And tells him that he's been lost and wandering these halls for days.
Been lost.
That there's no way out.
Days, and I'm gone.
How terrifying would that be? What kind of dream is that?
It's a nightmare.
And he's so scared that he pushes his doppelganger away and takes off running.
Asshole.
I mean, but only
He could have helped
he
himself.
finds his way out.
Could have helped himself out, don't you think?
For whatever reason, he found the exit and his nightmare ended.
Right.
But
But what about that other?
it really makes you wonder about
It does. Now, is it a projection
his
of
other.
his state of mind? Or,
How long was he wandering?
or was it
Was that
actually
real? Was that a projection?
multiverse
Was that one of the
type
projections?
situation?
Was he running through the hallway lost? And suddenly he starts thinking, what if I never get out? What if I can't find the exit?
That's what I'm saying.
So what does the school show him?
Zaps him and then projects, zap and project.
Him lost.
Yeah, he sees this image that he's had in his
That
mind.
is terrifying.
It is too. And you think about the kind of things that could get into your head. It reminds me of Ghostbusters.
Okay.
Zool asks them to choose, and they have to
People
break
who
their
were living
minds.
there. You look through the chat of the people that were living there in his apartment building, and it's almost like a lot of it is just your vague, sort of typical haunted sort of apartment building.
Right, just a lot.
Like, for example, a lot of people were always complaining about this low metallic buzzing sound.
Oh yeah, that drives me crazy. I hate that.
This buzzing,
I'm not even
sort
used
of weird sound that everyone could hear. Drive them crazy.
To do that to people.
Kind of like, well, I can't remember where it was at, but there's a place, a city or something where there's supposed to be.
There's a couple
like
places
that.
where
It just
there's
drives people crazy.
Yeah.
And this noise came from. It seemed like it was coming from the vents or something like that. Whoa. Okay.
Ralph, that scared me. He's scary. He's a scary boy. You're scary, Ralphie.
Okay.
So,
come here, Ralph. Is he? What you want? Is he?
what you want? Oh, you're a good boy.
So he's okay. So I lost my train of thought. The low metallic buzzing. So people tried to record it. People tried to record the sound, show it to other people. People would come in, like maintenance people, and they'd
look like they were
sound.
crazy
You fix it.
or
Of course, nobody
stupid.
could ever hear it. Weird stuff like that.
Because this place likes
mind
to mess with people.
bending. Like people would the vents. There was always sounds coming out of the vents.
Always
Okay, like one woman had a story about she would be sitting on the toilet and the vent in the bathroom. She'd suddenly hear like breaking sounds, but it didn't sound like objects breaking. It was like the sound of bones breaking.
Oh God,
How messed up would that be?
it'd be pretty messed up, and probably put me to poop faster.
I mean, that's pretty.
it's pretty scary. Trying to
They
figure
had
that
it
one
had
out.
it had security cameras.
right. Those cameras up everywhere. There's stories about the
And
cameras, but I can't find any videos yet.
there's so many stories about these security cameras,
Yes.
about them seeing things on there,
There's stories
about
from
things,
the
time
guards
not
posted.
lining up. A resident being seen in a hallway reporting that they had never been there at that point, or somebody being at a point when something happened and then going back on the security cameras and trying to see it, and then have no information. Just it would show the hallway or it would show the room, but the persons involved in the events wouldn't be there. There's a lot of them like that.
Look at that. The one. Look at that one. That one. The highlighted one.
Okay, what?
That.
Oh, the guy who made the video on social media.
Yeah. I mean, it's not a video.
Well, he
event, but
posted
it's
it
just
onto that.
him
the site.
talking
Okay.
about it.
Sure, we can do that.
Yeah, it's him talking about it.
Pretty sure we can do that. Oh, okay. Go ahead, play it.
All right. Yeah. Where is it? Oh, yeah. There it goes.
We got down some major drinking, but I wasn't concerned since I was just working midnights tomorrow and I had plenty of time to sober up. I woke up this afternoon. I'm still hammered. Drank a pot of coffee, ate lunch. Still felt just as wasted as when I went to bed the night before. I had to call in. I was drunk for 3 days.
Good God.
I almost went to the hospital.
I've done that before.
Stephanie came by, picked me up. She went over to Yeah.
Seems like
Now
a
that
bit
I've left,
much.
moved out, moved in with Stephanie, I
Good
haven't
old
had
Stephanie.
anything like that happen since.
Oh,
So I know it had something to do with that place.
right on in. Oh, sorry. Right, once again, that is one of the basic tales. He got drunk, couldn't get undrunk.
Yes. Can't undrunk.
Really? No sober October. Well, we can go. Yeah, so we're at a good point. We've covered. This is more like
We're coming up on
the
1 hour.
empty section,
We're coming up on
like
1
when
hour.
it was empty, and we're kind of moving slowly into
You said you wanted
the
to keep
stories
them about an hour, so
of when it becomes. Well, we can do a few of them, can't we? Okay, just real quick. We'll just go through it. This is after
Okay.
it's renovated, and now you're at Vacant Point's apartment building. You had Miriam Kessel, and she was reporting. You know, she was telling people that, you know, she ever since she had moved in the spring, she was utterly convinced that it was haunted. She had posted,
there's a lot.
I saw it again today.
There's a lot of that.
The weird movement out of the corner of my eye. I'll be walking by one of the big mirrors in the hall, and I'll see it. A quick blur right in my peripheral. My cat Stevie is obsessed with the closet in my bedroom. He just stands there outside the door and stares at it for hours.
Maybe there's
I know things are moving around when I'm out of the room.
like moths.
Some days are worse than others, and when a lot is happening, I can't keep my phone charged for more than an hour. So once again, this is a new introduction to this.
I was wondering about really
Cell phones.
cell phones.
Right. Because after that, you know, you've got this. Everyone's got a camera in their pocket, and the phenomenon is now more recordable.
Yeah, you could catch
So
it.
a lot of this stuff. I wonder
But
if
if
we
it's
can
like
find
the security
camera.
cameras, what if
You
it's
know?
like the security
What if any of the videos are still around?
No.
Security stuff. I don't know.
Maybe.
Well, you know, you can look,
Yeah, I will. I'll check it all out. I'll get ready for the next one.
right?
See what we can find.
Because it's
Yeah, this one I'll post on the website.
because, you know, I think it'd be interesting if we could see it. You know, maybe we could put it on the website or something.
Yeah, it would. Like, we need some pictures. We need some pictures of the school as well. Which is strange. It's so strange. I think there's one all black and white picture.
So
I think it
let's
was.
just say,
And it was actually just a school, like after it had opened. But of course, people don't run around taking
next-
pictures of derelict schools.
next
all
time
the
we're going to
time,
talk
but
about it.
Yeah. Sounds like a plan, Stan.
Well, I'm thinking maybe it got tore down or something.
Maybe it's gone now.
Yeah.
Maybe just a big old empty lot.
Because, you know, even on this site, all this everything they're talking about,
Yeah.
nothing seems to go past
Right.
2012.
It seemed like it dropped
maybe.
off.
Yeah, that would be crazy.
But maybe not. Maybe it's just there. And just
I
people
mean, to
forgot.
have something like
People
that.
forgot about it.
Well, could people forget about
Yeah,
something like that?
sure.
Maybe it'd just be like a big empty lot.
I forget things all the time.
Maybe they built something else on top of it.
I forgot what I was just
You
doing.
know, it's a legend, but
Right.
you know, legends can be bulldozed.
Yes. But then you'd have a big, scary,
Right.
empty lot.
Okay. So I think it's as good a place as any. So wrap it up.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I need to
Thank you, everybody, for hanging out with us.
Thank
again as
you
we
for
spend
coming
some more time
to
talking about
our strangeness.
vacant points
Yes, vacant points.
and Medusa's boyfriend.
Medusa's boyfriend.
Yeah.
I know what I want to do with that. This has been High Strangeness with Bill Benny and Jeff Turner.
Jeff Turner right here.
Just remember, sometimes legends are more truth than they are lies.
Well, that
Sometimes
really trying.
the stories really happened,
Okay.
as is indicated by the legendary Vacant points.
Right.
Just makes you wonder if it's still out there.
It does.
Big empty building just sitting there and overgrown by weeds. Maybe it's got a fence around it, nobody can get in. Maybe they got a guard dog that runs around in the yard.
Hey, Ralphie. Is that like Ralphie?
Who knows?
He would be a very good guard dog.
But is the energy still there?
Right. Is it still
The
there?
weirdness,
If you camp
the
out,
strangeness.
are you going to see Bigfoot?
If you were to
the
sneak
empty
in,
lot? I want to see Bigfoot. I want to see Bigfoot so
what
bad.
would you find? What would pop out of your head?
Bigfoot. Sasquatch. I love Sasquatch.
What would be
I want to see
real all of a sudden?
Sasquatch. I want to see Sasquatch.
It's a funny thought.
It is, but I do know exactly what it would be. I'd just be like, Sasquatch, Sasquatch,
But,
Sasquatch.
We'll talk about it some more next time.
All right. Right on.
See you later.
Later, folks.